There we go.
All right, guys. Welcome back. Thanks for your patience as we transitioned in between the game. I hope you enjoyed the 90-second break. Of course, here we are on Cloud Kingdom. We just saw Jaedong take down Thorzain on Ohana. Very nice display of handling a 2-Rax. If there's a guy you want to watch to try to figure out how to do that, first you check out Axslav's NOS performance tip on it. And then you take a look at Jaedong's replays, because I feel like that was pretty much picture perfect last game.
It was. Oh, I mean, there's always things you can do better, but as far as the defense was solid enough to win convincingly. You know, as maybe if with a little bit stronger micro from Thorzain, he would have to put an even better performance. Who knows? Because I mean, there was definitely a little bit more room for some of the Marines to be controlled a little bit better, I think.
Yeah.
But it was a great defense, and I think these Brooder guys are going to be really hard to knock out early in games. They're pretty good, but they're like so much of defending against rushes is just like knowing how much to invest in economy versus how much to invest in production. This is something these guys have been doing for like years and years and years. It's like a concept that's super familiar with them. So they're happy when you rush them. They're, you know, the sort of the mid and late game where there's a lot of like new units and new way of approaching the game as opposed to Broodor. That's where they're a little bit less confident. At least when this is played. Now they're getting so much better now. It's only a matter of time before that's done as well. But
yep.
I feel you're playing into their strengths when you try to rush them. So.
It's interesting, especially when you consider, you know, Thorzain's the kind of guy who loves pushing games to late game. That he went for a 2-Rax against Jdong. And guys, by the way, these are replays from the MvP Invitational. These are unseen, uncasted replays. These are never before seen, so a real treat we have to be able to see these. And if you guys enjoy, of course, you know, tell your friends. You know, post on Team Liquid, post on Reddit, have a conversation about it. And let people know what is going on, because, you know, it's fun learning from the best.
Yes, it is. These guys are pretty much some of the best there is. Thorzain, a lot of people might say he's one of the top couple non-Korean Terrans in the world. You know, like Lucifron and I don't know where Kass has been. Major, you know, those type of guys. And Jdong, of course, is legendary Brood War Zerg player. I think he's won 3 different MSL tournaments. Insanely skilled. This game, Thorzain's not going for that that early barracks rush. He's just going for the fast command center, which I kind of like more.
Yeah, I mean it's more his style, I think, as far as yeah, he seems like the kind of guy to just see what he can get away with, and then you know, the beautiful play really comes in when he's dealing with any sort of potential all-in from his opponent or having to adjust on the fly, crisis management kind of stuff. And then, of course, you know, he's pretty much known for just slowly but surely taking out his opponent, taking expansion after expansion, and just like squeezing the noose around his opponent's neck, basically. So we'll have to see what happens here. Like Jdong sending some links forward, trying to be a little bit annoying, but I feel like Thorzain should have a Marine on the... Yeah, he has a Marine behind that supply depot, so he's going to be just fine.
Command Center are going to take a couple scratches as trying to transform the orbital, and he may actually end up delaying his... He was trying to micro with the Marine, so we lowered the depot, but this has the Zergans in. They might actually do some damage here.
I love how Jaedong is taking the time to go back and do stuff in his main base while actually attacking with the links. Of course, we're looking at this from Jaedong's point of view.
Oh, so he could get SCV too, wow. He might even circle around and get another SCV if he... No, they'll take it out.
They died. The SCVs were able to get us around there, and now... I mean, not a lot of stuff happened there, but it's relatively significant.
I mean, just he got a couple kills, and also during that skirmish, Thorzain was forgetting to build SCVs because he was so busy microing.
Yep.
And Jdong wasn't. Jdong was going back, he was macroing up a storm, and he hit those injects perfectly while he was microing Zergans. Yep. Never missed a beat, so that's why, you know, you should not have a 20 supply lead over Terran. Terran should be barely behind supply at the 630 mark. But that dealt a lot of indirect damage to Thorzain just from the distraction it caused him.
Yeah, Jdong now, look at his saturation on those mineral lines. His drone count is getting ridiculous for 2 bases at 46 already. Adding on the 3rd base, Thorzain going to try to get some work done with these Hellions, going toward that 3rd, going to check on the progress of that. Might try to make his way into the natural expansion, and we're seeing a situation where Jaedong, once again, not building any spines, so we'll have to see if he can get away with that.
Jdong taking a little bit of damage at his third here, but I'm sure he's just waiting to get that Zergling speed up, although that's quite a ways off. Maybe he's waiting for the queens to get over there.
I mean, the creep too, waiting for that to get closer and closer, and honestly, 2 Hellions against a hatchery, it's going to take a long time for that hatchery to actually die, and Thorzain is trying to check on the progress of that creep, but yeah, Jaedong just staying patient for now.
A great job on the defensive end by Jaedong. I like the patience he's showing here, because if you just start throwing units out at him, you'll start losing units, and then you'll be weaker later on, and there's no reason. Like, the hatchery taking a little bit of damage is not a big deal. It's much more important to, like, preserve your unit life. Let the Hellion do what it wants to do. The interesting thing to know here is Jaedong is actually teching lair quite late. I think it's about 8 minutes and 20 seconds in he started teching that lair, really prioritizing both the Zergling speed and the 1-1 upgrades before lair.
Also adding on that baneliness, so I feel like either just trying to play really, really safe, getting a lot of lings on the field, or he has some counter attacks in mind here. Hellion's coming out here from Thorzain, has to be careful not to lose those. And look at this, Thorzain actually pushing with a pretty large faction. 2 medevacs, plenty of marines involved. And honestly, I feel like Jdong is going to have enough here. With a lot of lings on the way, he should be able to get us around and potentially clean this up. But keep in mind, Thorzain can lift up into those medevacs at any time.
Thorzain trying to get as many kills as he can before he gets overrun, because eventually it'll happen, but he's being very, very cost efficient. One of those medevacs getting low, but the queens are being forced back. One of them even dies. Jdong
losing a queen there. Thorzain getting a lot of damage done with these marines and Hellions. 42 lings in that production tab, though, which should be plenty enough to deal with this, and Thorzain is just going to pick up and get out of there. Of course, without infestors, without mutalisks on the field, without spore callers, there's not much anti-air besides the queens. So, you know, Thorzain can afford to do this type of harassment, pick up and back away, almost like a Mothership Core, where you can just, in Heart of the Storm, where you can just attack and then potentially recall back. Thorzain's just going to pick up and get out of there.
Yeah, nice moves by Thorzain there. Jdong, he needs to re-establish the drones at a third. He's doing that right now. 10 drones are in production, 6 more on the way right now. Doing some counterattacks as well. I don't know why Thorzain had those marines out there. They were kind of just... The Zergings are knocking at the door.
Yeah, they're... he's not even
going to get in.
Okay, yeah. Here come the marines, and Hellion's here from Thorzain. Spire's only 70% up the way down. Here come the banelings and the links. Thorzain's like, alright, I'm out of here. See ya. Queen trying to target that medevac down.
One of them almost died. Got it down to the deep red. Yeah. Spire's on the way, so Jdong wants to play really the map control style, not going for any type of infestor play super early.
Alright, we see 6 workers killed here for Thorzain, so Jdong doing a great job keeping those drones alive. Already at 72 in that harvester tab. And that's actually a little bit surprising considering how much Thorzain has been aggressive towards his third base. It's a pretty cool fact that Jaedong hasn't honestly lost that many drones.
He hasn't taken very, very many losses quite yet. Thorzain continuing to press his upgrades, but Thorzain's falling. They're both falling behind the 2-2 upgrades. Neither one eager to start those. Thorzain forgetting to army for a bit, and Jaedong, it looks like he wants to prioritize Mutalisk. After he started his first wave of Mutalisk, now he's investing in his upgrades. An interesting little timing right there.
Alright, so it looks like Jdong with those 9 mutas on the way, starting up that flyer upgrades, which means he wants to invest a lot into mutas as this game goes along. Also, 2-2 just now beginning. I'm wondering when we're going to see that infestation pit placed down, if not just for the progression into Hive, because I'm assuming Jaedong is going to want to start at 3-3 as soon as humanly possible. However, he's going to be investing a lot of gas in the mutas, so might want to prioritize that instead.
Would definitely be a good prioritization. Marines are coming in here. Jdong does not have baning speed yet, but he does have plenty of creeps coming in from multiple angles. The Marines having a hard time run with the Zergings on them. The Nita's taking out all the medevacs, but he doesn't have enough baning to clear up all those Marines.
Yeah, he doesn't, and Thorzain's army is going to stay alive at this point in time, but now here come the reinforcements for Jdong, more and more lings in that production tab, but it's not going to be enough. Thorzain continuing to press forward.
He lost so many Mutalisks there trying to engage the Marines with just Mutalisks. Thorzain's going to take on his third, and that's going to give him a decisive advantage in this game as they progress with their attack. A 2-base Zerg without infestors is not very scary.
Yeah, and you know, Thorzain can just keep sending Marines and Marauders. Like, he has that macro capability, he has that production capability to just keep sending wave after wave after wave of Marines and Marauders forward. And now he's going to start adding on tanks in his composition. Starting up siege mode, 2-2 is about to finish. His armory is definitely done. So obviously because he's doing 2-2, so he can go directly into the 3-3 upgrades if he so pleases. So I feel like Jdong, you know, has the potential to fall pretty far behind here. He has to make something happen.
He definitely does. He needs to decisively crush Thorzain's army, to maybe use the map control he'll get from crushing an army to maybe counter with the third, or something like that. But as it stands right now, Thorzain's army is so big. This is when Zerg's going Mutalisk, Speeding, Invading, they need to be a base up, if not two. They need to be substantially ahead in food count. A counterattack, this may be what Jaedong needs to try to get back in this game, because Thorzain does not have very much to defend this area.
No bunker there is actually really interesting. It seems like it's been standard to set up a supply depot wall off at the third, include a bunker, maybe even a siege tank there as well. But Jaedong able to get a decent amount of damage done there. Thorzain's army was relatively close though, so not as much as Jaedong could have done if Thorzain hadn't been close with his army. And now Jaedong looks like he might try to engage into the natural expansion. However, I think Thorzain is still in the area, so he has to be careful with that.
Yeah, he is. Thorzain's on pure defense mode. He knows he's ahead in damage, just wants to wait to max out his army, because the Tyrian army gets so much more cost efficient as the food count gets higher and higher and higher, where the Zerg tends to get a little bit less efficient. They rely on superior numbers. With the damage Jdong suffered, it's going to be hard for him to get those numbers.
Alright, Jdong adding on more and more Lings, Banelings, and Mutas income tabs at 85 in the Harvesters. Thorzain at 62, and Jdong's double expanding. He has an Expo there in the bottom right, so wants to make sure to keep that safe. And that's something you can do with Mutas. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised to see him try to take the base in the top left, maybe include some static D around those bases as well. So important to keep those alive. And Jdong going to try to catch some Marines and Marauders off guard with those Mutas, Lings, and Banelings, but Thorzain going to stem out of there. He's going to be fine, but he can't be feeling safe to move out. Might want to start leapfrogging across the map fairly soon, because he does have tanks. How many does he have? He's 3 of them. Not a crazy amount.
Not a crazy amount. Yeah, he definitely wants more tanks. His second factory was very late this game. I think that's because he was put on so much pressure early with the Marine medevac. He really neglected the tank production, and I mean that allowed him to do the damage he did. So it's not like that was a mistake, but it's put him in this position where the next couple of battles may not be as straightforward as he'd like. Oh, the depots are raised a little bit too late. But this is a one-way trip for most of these Zerg grounding. This is, I'm sure, Thorzain is going to come in behind them.
Now he has to decide what he wants to blow up. Going after the engineering base, the Marine Marauder army is going to take out all of those Lings. A lot more Banelings in production here from Jdong. Nice Baneling detonations into those units. Thorzain maybe with a little bit of miscontrol.
The medevacs got a little bit ahead of themselves there.
Wow.
He was able to pick off a couple, trying to counterattack in the third. Now the Mutas are in the third. There's no Marines there. The siege tanks are vulnerable. Thorzain falling apart to this, not quite splitting his units up, and Jdong is taking full advantage, just being everywhere he needs to be.
Jdong is just attacking everywhere. He's everywhere in this game. He sent his Lings and Banelings into the main base, but at the same time was sending units to the third, units to the natural, controlling his Mutas. Great multitasking here from Jdong, which we can see by his camera. You know, making sure to send units everywhere just to try to spread Thorzain out that much further. Now, Thorzain's about to finish up 3-3 here, and I don't think Jdong has started 3-3. In fact, I don't even know if he started. I'm just going to check really quick. Yeah, there's no hive. I don't even think there's an infestation pit. Okay, the infestation pit has been completed. Fungal growth, or pathogen glands is on the way, so starting to make that transition into the hive tech.
Mineral field.
Thorzain is 3-3 now, which is definitely going to give him an advantage in the next battles, but Jaedong's being able to get a supply lead. Another counterattack here. Decent Marines are going to be outnumbered and run down. Speed baiting's on the way. Jdong might be overextending though, as Thorzain showing some decent splits here. And those baitings get absolutely massacred.
Yeah, the Banelings did do a decent amount of damage though, but Thorzain had those tanks, had some nice target firing, but all of a sudden Jdong up 155 to 96 and now abusing the map features. A little bit hard for the Marines to get in between the main base and the natural expansion. The Mutas, not that difficult, so Jdong trying to dip and dodge between those two locations, trying to maximize the amount of damage he can do. And Thorzain's going to try to trap these Mutas, and I think he's going to be able to. The Mutas just flew over all those Marines. But I feel like those Mutas have paid for themselves, and Jaedong's using gas on Infestors anyway.
He's kind of switching out the Mutas. Would have been nice to have a little bit of anti-drop squad. But as it is, I mean, 20 minutes and 30 seconds into this game, Thorzain's got to be running really, really low, if not out of minerals, at his natural. And of course, his main has been gone for some time now, so one base economy is not really what Thorzain wants to be on. Of course, he can drop more mules. That just means his third base is going to go away even faster. Jdong's put himself in a position where all he has to do is just wait for Thorzain to come out, squash that one army, because Thorzain's going to have basically one push left in him, or squash Thorzain's attempt to take a fourth, and then the game will be his.
I mean, he has creep in his opponent's potential fourth base there at the top side of the map, which is really cool to see. Jaedong's creep spread is everywhere, of course, still has that base in the bottom right. I don't think Thorzain has seen that. And look at this, taking advantage of the fact that Thorzain is potentially moving out, applying some pressure to that third, keeping Thorzain at home, buying himself more time, because he has a greater spire on the way, plenty of infestors building up energy, and burrow on the way, as well as adrenal glands. Once all of those things kick in, we're going to be looking at an unstoppable-looking Jdong.
It's getting pretty close there. Not started 3-3 yet, so Thorzain does have a bit of an upgrade advantage, but I don't know if that's enough to counterbalance Jaedong's massive economic and military advantage right now.
Yeah, it's going to be incredibly difficult. Units tab right now shows 10 infestors on the field, 83 zerglings, and we see Jdong using those infestors to deal with medevacs. Every unit at this point for Thorzain is going to be incredibly important. Look at this, the Lings with another counterattack. Jdong is so good at spotting the vulnerabilities in his opponent's defense and taking advantage, sending those Lings straight into the main base. Meanwhile, has enough units back home to defend, potentially sending the infestors forward, bungling the Marines and Marauders. Banelin's getting some solid detonations, and Jdong once again finds himself way ahead in supply, and Thorzain throwing down the GG. That was a pretty good game.
It really was. I mean, Thorzain needed that last push to work. Of course it didn't. Jdong was too far ahead. And, you know, Jaedong's really showing. I mean, most of these games have been macro wins. I mean, well, here was more of a multitasking win. I feel Jdong fell behind a bit when he lost his third.
Yep.
But he's able to keep even in supply just from being Jdong. And then, of course, that attack, he just totally outmaneuvered Thorzain there.
I think this base in the bottom right was pretty instrumental to his ability to come back here. Of course, that represents so many additional resources. Also, just taking advantage of little missteps from Thorzain. Not huge missteps, but when you leave one supply depot down, that can be the difference between honestly winning and losing a game. So, really cool moves from Jdong there, able to recognize those facts and get that extra damage done with those counterattacks. And ultimately, Thorzain just didn't have enough. Couldn't build up that army big enough to really go up against Jdong and really have the death blow, the death push. So nice games there from Jdong against Thorzain. Coming up next, guys, more Jdong stuff from the MvP Invitational. All of these replays are unseen. They had never been seen before, never been broadcasted. So stay tuned. Next, we're going to be jumping into either ZVP or ZVZ. ZVP would be against Grubby. ZVZ would be against either Rhett or Vibe. So let us know in the chat which one you would prefer to go after first, and we may or may not listen to you. So stay tuned, guys.